Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Krystle, just in case you are new here, and today I have some horror recommendations for you. So I don't know about you guys, but the summertime brings about this feeling of horror, more so now than it normally does in the fall for some reason. I think when I was a kid, I read a lot of horror in the summertime because during the school year, you had to read what the teachers were telling you to read. And then the summer came and I was able to go to the library and pick out whatever books I wanted, and it always happened to be horror books. It's just what I've always been going towards. So today I have some books for you, I have some TV shows for you, and I have some movie recommendations for you to get yourself into the summer scares vibe if you're into that. I love horror, as you guys know if you've been watching my channel for a while. I also run a horror book club called Horror in 24, which links to that will be down below. Our current book of the month is Paradise Club by Tim Meyer, and I am here to recommend that book to you guys because it is so good. It is the perfect book to start off your summer scares list. It is about a vacation pretty much gone bad. These people don't know what they signed up for, but they do feel a little wary when they show up to this island and they're told that they cannot have any of their cell phones, and their cell phones are completely confiscated from them and they have to go about their lives without their cell phones, which I think is just a warning, like, yeah, maybe this isn't so good. But they continue to go on vacation. But our main character, Elliot, he is a FBI or like some type of investigator detective, and he sees something happen on this island that should not be happening, and something that he thought was going to be a family vacation turns really, really bad. So definitely check out Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. It is gruesome, it is gory, it is the perfect way to start off your summer if you love horror. So definitely check it out. And we are going to be doing a live show on that book on the 24th of June. So if you are interested in joining us for the live show, it is free on Kindle Unlimited if you do have Kindle Unlimited. So it's a quick read. Definitely jump on if you'd like to, and we'll see you on the live show. The next book that I'd like to recommend to you guys would be Do McKee, which is a book that I never finished. Not for any reason in particular, and I really want to continue reading this because it has the perfect summer reading vibes. It is a book that takes place on the ocean, basically, in Florida, in the Keys, and yeah, Stephen King wrote it, so you know him and his atmosphere and world building, and everything is so vivid. His descriptions are beautiful in here. Like I said, I was reading this last summer and I think I like fell into a reading slump while reading it, and I just never picked it up again. It wasn't bad by any means, so I'm looking forward to picking this back up. But I wanted to suggest it to you guys because it is a horror, it's a ghost story, and it's perfect for summer. The next book I'd like to recommend to you guys is Goblin by Josh Malerman. Like, oh my gosh, this book is so good. This is a novel told in 6 novellas by Josh Malerman, and it is so good. It is a town called Goblin, and it's these 6 small short stories, but short stories that take place in this town to people that live in this town. Goblin is a town that's known for it constantly raining. It's also very, like, it feels very hot and humid and rainy, so it's the perfect short story collection to pick up during, you know, a summer thunderstorm as it rolls in. It just has that vibe for you, and not for nothing, this cover is amazing. I was just talking to Carol about this book because she's reading it also, and she's loving it, but I flew through this. I ate it up. I loved it so much. This is my favorite thing from Josh Malerman, and I'm looking forward to more things like this from him because he really writes short stories so well. It reminds me of the TV show Creep Show a little bit, these stories, where it kind of has this huge like build up to like something spooky lurking in the background, and then the ending of the stories is just like, oh my goodness, this is gross, you know? So definitely check this out if you're looking for a spooky short story collection to read by the beach, by the pool, during a thunderstorm. For me, I love summer thunderstorms because I crack open books like this and it just completes the atmosphere that you're looking for. The next book I'd like to recommend to you is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Boy, does this book have some gruesome parts in here. This is an amazing book. It has so many 80s, early 90s references to it, as per Grady Hendrix loves to do in his books. He loves his references. He loves to be nostalgic. He combines horror and comedy together in such a perfect melody. I just love his writing so much, and this book is spooky, 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 but also funny at the same time. If you are someone who is into like 90s horror movies with that little bit of like comedy thrown in there, this book is for you. I loved it. Now, this is Grady Hendrix's take on vampires. It's a little different than your normal basic vampire story. This is about a group of women who form this book club and to kind of hide their reading habits from their husbands, because they're into reading about true crime. They're into reading about gruesome books, but they don't want their husbands to know about it because women back then didn't read things or watch things like that. It was kind of taboo for them to. So they formed this book club to kind of hide that. But someone comes into town who claims that he is a family member of a well-known person that lives in town. And something just doesn't seem right to our main character about this person. Just from the stuff that she's read over the years, it kind of links up to that. So a lot of the chapter breaks in this book are named after like true crime type books that are real today. So you have Helter Skelter in here, The Bridges of Madison County. So all of these like sections kind of mirror these books, if you know what I mean. So if you've read any of these, if you're into true crime, then you will understand the reference here. Grady Hendrix is so creative. The Stranger Beside Me, which is a very well-known true crime book. So like if you're someone who's into true crime, like I said, you will love all the references in here and it will make this reading experience that much better. But like I said, this is your perfect horror summer book. It takes place in the South. It feels hot and humid and you feel sticky as you're reading it. He's great at describing those things. So you get a little bit of everything in this book, and that's why I love it and I recommend it to everybody. I just recommend Grady Hendrix to everybody because Grady Hendrix is one of my favorite authors of all time. But this book, oh my goodness. And I believe the paperback just came out, which seems really nice as well. So if you're interested in picking up yourself a copy, definitely do that. If my camera angle changed at all, I had a dead battery that just popped up out of nowhere. So we are back. We're back in action. Next book I'd like to recommend for you guys is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is your typical haunted house book, but this story kind of mirrors the Amity Horror House. If you know that movie, if you know that book, it definitely mirrors that. This also takes place in two different timelines. So you have the timeline of when our main character is younger and the ghost things are happening to her in this house, and then you have the now timeline, and then you have the timeline where her father is writing a book about the haunting that happened in the house that they were living in. So it's definitely a typical formulaic ghost story. I really love Riley Sager's writing because he too also makes nostalgic references that for some reason my generation, we just love nostalgia and references and things about our childhood. We just can't grow up for some reason. I don't know, but I love it. I love everything about it. So I definitely recommend this book. I don't really love all of Riley's books, but this one really was great. I liked Lock Every Door. I know a lot of people didn't like it. It's a very polarizing book for most people, but I actually really liked it, and I was shocked by the ending of that book. This book, I would say the ending was a little disappointing, but I really enjoyed all the spooky stuff in this book, and so if you're looking for a quick read by the beach that's spooky, that's ghostly, check out Home Before Dark. Then the next book I'd like to recommend to you, which I think I do in all my summer recommendations reading videos is It by Stephen King. If you don't know this story, what are you, living under a rock? I mean, come on, there's movies, there's all different TV shows, there's all different types of renditions made of this. Hot Topic has Stephen King It stuff everywhere, all over the walls in there. There's Funko Pops, there's everything for this story. So if you don't know what this is, pick it up, please. Get into it. If you love horror, if you love Stephen King, if you love the perfect summer setting with kids playing, if you love nostalgia, again, if you love, you know, those times when you were a kid and you were riding your bike and everything kind of spooked you out when dusk was on the horizon, this book is perfect for that. It is a coming of age story. It is I mean, I don't want to give too much away on that if you haven't read it, but like I said, are you living under a rock? Because if you haven't read it, I don't know what you've been doing. But check out It. It's a story about a creepy clown, and yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Highly recommend for all my horror readers out there. So definitely check this big chunker out. It will take you some time to read, but every page is beautiful. The next book that I'd like to recommend to you is Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. I read this book last summer and I really enjoyed it. The atmosphere is great, very similar to It. So if you love It by Stephen King and you're looking for something that is along the same lines as with the kids and nostalgia and things like that, taking place in the 80s, definitely check it out. I enjoyed it. It is a very slow burn, but I will say the ending is really good. I really enjoyed it. So check it out. Like I said, it's very comparable to It by Stephen King, and it is about a group of kids who spooky things start happening to them and they're just trying to solve the mystery, basically, just like how Stranger Things is, and It, and Scooby-Doo, like all those things with like meddling kids, like Edgar Cantaro's book Meddling Kids, like similar to that vibe. You know, you're following a group of kids and they get into some trouble, and yes, but it is a horror book. There is a lot of spooky content in that book, and it is an adult book. Next book I'd like to recommend to you guys is Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. This is a new to me author, and boy did I love this book. I don't want to share too much because it is very short, but this was really freaking creepy. This author's got body horror under control. I mean, totally not expected. I had watched an author interview with V. Castro and totally did not expect her to write something like this. I would say this is like Jennifer's Body, like a possession story meets The Craft. It's about a group of friends that hold a seance and they conjure up a very, very dirty spirit, basically. So check it out if you like The Craft, if you like possession stories, if you like spooky settings in hot climates. This is a great book for you. Next, I would like to recommend The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. I loved this book. I know a lot of people didn't love it, or a lot of people don't know about it. I don't really see it much talked about. I don't see it talked about much on BookTube, but I really love this book. It's a horror. Christina Henry has been writing really great horror books, in case you didn't know. She's written all of like the Neverland like retellings of like fairy tales that are like spooky and horrific. So now she's kind of getting into her own type of horror. This again is another small town horror book about the ghost tree, and two young girls go missing, and previously our main character, the year before, her father goes missing and was found murdered by the ghost tree. So there's something lurking in the woods, whether it's supernatural or there is some type of killer, but the way that these girls have been murdered and the way her father was murdered, it's pretty gruesome, and her father's heart has been ripped out from his chest. So it's obviously something that's unnatural that is doing these killings, and our main character wants to figure it out. She also sees things as well. She can kind of not predict the future, but she gets premonitions of things that have happened in the past and things that will possibly happen in the future. So you have that supernatural aspect of the story. It does take place in a small town. It takes place in the 80s. It takes place, I believe, in the summertime at a fair. Like there's like a fair happening as well. So you get all those summertime vibes from this book, and it's another nostalgia read. There are references in here. There are a lot of Stephen King references in here. So definitely check it out if you're interested in a new author to you, if you're interested in new horror. It definitely incorporates a lot of, you know, issues that we have as a society today in with the horror vibe, and also you have the nostalgia factor in here. I just really love this book. I can't tell you too much about it because it does have, you know, a thriller aspect, but if all those things sound good to you, definitely check it out. Last but not least, how could I forget? Goosebumps. I love Goosebumps. I still read them today. I love everything about this series. It's creepy. I will say middle grade horror is very creepy. So check out Goosebumps. I read them as short stories. I don't, you know, obviously they're not, you know, novels to us anymore as adults. But if you have a middle grader in your life, it's an excuse to pick up a Goosebumps book. The Haunted Mask is my favorite. But these are just so perfectly creepy, perfect for that summertime vibe, that nostalgia feel of summer reading and getting to enjoy all the things that you want to read in the summer as a kid who loves books. So, and I love how like they still incorporate these things in the back of the book to advertise the other book, the Goosebumps books. I really love R.L. Stine's writing. I've been reading R.L. Stine for years and years and years, and then when I kind of graduated from the middle grade, I went to Fear Street and all those fun point horror books. I could definitely recommend you guys some more, so I will probably do a part 2 of this video coming up soon. But for now, here's a couple TV shows that I recommend for summertime vibes. I definitely recommend Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is my favorite TV show of all time. It is just so campy and so perfect. I highly, highly recommend it. And then I also recommend Supernatural, because who doesn't love the Winchester boys? They're great. They're amazing. And the show just ended, and boy, did I cry my eyes out at that final episode. I have never been so committed to something in my entire life. I watched that show for 15 years. 15 years! Who does that? I have been so invested in the story of the Winchester boys, and hopefully soon my cousin and I have actually been discussing coming to you guys with a podcast dedicated to Supernatural. So stay tuned for that. Possibly maybe sometime in the fall we're going to get into rewatching Supernatural and podcasting about it. Then the next TV show I'd love to recommend to you guys is The Walking Dead. Who doesn't love zombies in the summer? What doesn't say rotting zombie flesh in the summer? It's Walking Dead. Anything that has to do with zombies screams summertime for me. For some reason, I don't know why, but I just love watching and reading about zombies in the summertime. So definitely check out The Walking Dead if you have not already. Haven't watched even anything of The Walking Dead. I don't know what you've been doing, but Fear the Walking Dead also is a show that I'm getting into now, because one of our main characters from The Walking Dead, well, a couple of our main characters from The Walking Dead are now featured on that show. So I'm kind of moving my way over to Fear the Walking Dead, and I have a lot to binge watch, but it's a great show to binge in the summer. Sorry, somebody is mowing their lawn right outside my window, of course, as I decided to film. So, sorry guys. And then a couple movies that I have to recommend to you guys. I love haunted house movies in the summertime, so I love Insidious. That whole franchise is amazing to watch in the summer. Obviously, creepy clowns, summertime vibes all around. So if you want to read the book and then watch the movies, or watch the movies and read the book, freaking do it. It's amazing. You're gonna feel great. Also, I loved Satanic Panic. You could probably find it on Shudder, but gosh, oh my gosh, I believe Grady Hendrix wrote the screenplay for that movie. It's hilarious. It's horrific. There's some really bad scenes in it, but it's so good, and the acting is just so bad but good, if you know what I mean. So if you're into those types of horror movies where you get the comedy and the horror like Grady Hendrix brings into his novels, he did write the screenplay for that. So check out Satanic Panic. It's hilarious. And of course, the Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds is so amazing to watch in the summer with his glistening abs. Yeah, it's so good. It's so haunting, and you could feel like the humidity. You just see it in the movie. It looks so good. It's beautiful, beautifully done. A lot of people like the original, but I do like the Ryan Reynolds version a lot. And then of course, Friday the 13th, how could you not watch that franchise in the summer? It is about Camp Crystal Lake, where a masked sick murderer kills campers, and it's just so perfectly campy and horrific at the same time. I just really, really enjoy that. I think that's it for my recommendations. Like I said, I will do a part 2 of this because I have so much to recommend. I can go on all day, but I don't want this video to be too long. I feel like I've been talking forever. So that is it for now, guys. If you have any recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments down below. If you like this video and you want to see more from me, please just like and subscribe. Make sure you are following me on Instagram, following me on YouTube, and following me on the Horror24 Instagram, along with a bunch of my hosts. We're so excited to bring to you more this summer with Horror24. So on that note, it was great talking to you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!